Good morning. Happy whatever the hell today is. Thursday? Yes, today is Thursday. Man, this week is flying by. Yeah, so two things I want to address. Number one is post hoc, ergo propter hoc arguments, and number two is going to be duty to protect, or the public duty doctrine. As to the former, the Ramblin while Amblin I did yesterday morning, where I was discussing Beta Steve and his stupid abortion of a video out of Michigan. There are people who are arguing that it was because of the camera. And that is a silly argument to make. Now, it could be that the cop did what the cop did because of the camera. It could be. But there is no good reason to believe that. It is a post hoc, which means after the fact, ergo propter hoc, which means generally because of the fact. What that argument basically is saying that the event occurred after something else occurred. So therefore the second event happened because of the first event. But you could do it with anything. You could say that the cop responded to the man because of the color of his skin, because of the shoes he was wearing or lack thereof, because of the man's height, because of the man's accent. Who knows? You could say it about anything. And so it's not a good argument because there's nothing to support it. Whereas there is a lot of evidence to support that it was because of trespassing, i.e. the cop saying it's because you were trespassing, the cop calling for backup, etc., etc. The people saying after he was arrested, he lives right here, he lives right here. So it is a silly argument to make that it was because of the filming. And people did that same crap when Padilla was arrested by Salvaggio. Padilla is filming the police station the entire time. Oh my God, it's absolutely amazing. It's like 20 some odd minutes of him filming a police station. He's filming police officers. He actually gets an apology from the gal at the front desk who was corrected and told that he's allowed to film in the police station. And then all of a sudden he gets arrested, and he gets arrested by Salvaggio, who's saying, "Why are you back here? You need to leave. Why are you back here?" He's not asking why you're filming. He's asking, "Why are you back here?" It was for trespassing. People seem to take huge issue with that, but it's for trespassing. And if you think that there shouldn't be laws against trespassing, if you think the government shouldn't be allowed to trespass people, then fine. You're allowed to believe that. I lost her leash. Here we go. Luckily, she didn't know. All right. So you're allowed to believe whatever you want. You're allowed to have whatever opinion you want. However, the fact remains that the police can arrest for trespassing on government-owned property. Now, it may be, if he is the guest of a tenant there, the arrest may not be lawful, because if he has the permission of a tenant to be there, if he's the guest of a tenant, then he probably has every right to be there. You see a lot of the government housing style places try to enforce trespassing rules, trespassing laws, but they're not the tenant. And I don't know exactly how Michigan swings on that particular rope, but generally speaking, my impression would be that if a tenant invited him, if he's there as a guest of a tenant, then he has every right to be there. So the post hoc ergo propter hoc argument is stupid. It doesn't tell us anything. It's not convincing. It's not necessarily wrong, but there's no reason to suspect it's right. The second argument, or the second thing we're going to talk about today, is the duty to protect, public duty doctrine. Timmy, Peeping Timmy, otherwise known as News Now OKC, News Now on the Spectrum, whatever you want to call him. That's a skunk. Don't chase the skunk. Don't chase the skunk. See the skunk? Dumb skunk running across the street. Stupid skunk. So anyway, Timmy was in my Discord, and he mentioned in some case, haven't you seen X case? And I don't remember what the case was, but he said it held that there's no duty to protect. The police have no duty to protect. You've got to get your own guns, man. Because you know, Timmy's beyond a Second Amendment advocate. Timmy is a gun fetishist. He worships guns. He loves guns. He probably sleeps with his guns. He probably has sex with his guns. I mean, the guy is all about guns all the time, every time. It's a little creepy. Anyway, I mean, I'm not against guns at all. I own guns, but I mean, I don't have to talk about them every waking second of the day to people who couldn't care less. Anyway, so there's lots and lots of case law on this particular issue. The one that I see most often is there are several Supreme Court cases on duty to protect, and it is based on the 14th Amendment. There is no duty to protect in the 14th Amendment, and what they're saying is that, let me see if I can actually say this a little clearer. Duty is a term of art in law. If someone owes you a duty in the law, that means that you can sue them for a breach of that duty. And so usually statutes or case law will define who owes who a duty, how, what, when, why, and where. And sometimes there are general duties. Like in California, it's the Civil Code 17. It's in the 1700s. I think is it 1717, 1714, 1714, 1717. Yeah. It's somewhere right there. I think it's 1714 or thereabouts. It's a general duty. Basically, everybody has a duty to not harm other people, and they're responsible for their actions and for the harms that come from their actions. That's a general duty. So there has to be a duty, a legally recognizable duty. It doesn't mean that you're not obligated to do something. It means you have a legal obligation to do something. I want to go this way. You have a legal obligation to do something. So like, generally speaking, you don't have any duty to tell people about, you don't have there's no like general duty to disclose. Like, I don't have to disclose things to you. Like, if I'm going to sell you something, you know, I show you the thing and you have an opportunity to look over the thing, and then you buy it, and I nod smugly knowing that the value of that thing is going to drop over the next couple of weeks because of some turn of events on the stock market or what have you. I didn't have a duty to disclose that unless there is some other underlying relationship between us. Like if I'm a lawyer and you're my client, and I'm going to sell you a painting that you happen to like in my office. I have various duties that I owe you because of the relationship that we have, beyond what I would owe to just some other schmuck who wanted to come in and buy that painting. But what the Supreme Court held was that the 14th Amendment doesn't, in and of itself, create tort law. There is no general tort recognition in it. So Congress has to basically put the power in there. That's why there are 1983 lawsuits, and it's not just some general, duty to not harm that you're suing under the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment is not a font of tort law. You'll see that in, I think it was Castle Rock. I want to say Castle Rock. I'm probably wrong on that. I've done videos on these before. If you search for Murby's duty or Murby's duty to protect or something like that, you'll get one or more of them. But that's what the Supreme Court held. It's not saying that the officer's job isn't to protect people. It's saying that there's no legally actionable remedy. There's no tort that you can sue him under. And generally speaking, if you were taking the MBE, the multi-state bar exam, generally speaking, the public duty doctrine says that you can't sue the police or the firefighters or the city because they don't owe the individual, they don't owe you a duty, they owe everybody a duty. Duty to all, duty to none. And that might be hard for people to wrap their heads around, but the proper way to deal with police or firefighters who are unresponsive to the needs of the community in general is to fire them. It would be a ridiculous situation if you were able to sue the police every time you had your car broken into, every time you were raped, robbed, mugged, murdered, because those things happen and the police can't be everywhere at once. Or if you got to sue the fire department every time a building burned down, every time someone died in a fire. There has to be, there's a strong public interest in not allowing those kinds of lawsuits to go on, because it would just cripple the system. And because it is impossible to enforce that duty. Now, generally speaking, once you get into the care, custody, and control of a police officer or an ambulance driver or a firefighter, if they have you under their care, then generally speaking, they start to owe you duties. You start to have legally actionable claims against them if they don't perform to a certain standard. Vultures circling. It's we're getting up on the put as much as you want out on the sidewalk and the city will come pick it up day. And so you'll see piles, like there's a pile there and there's a pile, maybe you can see it down there. There is another pile right there. Looks terrible, looks disgusting, but it's a nice thing because going to the dump is terrible and it's nice to be able to do some spring cleaning, but the vultures circle looking for scraps all night long. Anyway, so yeah, there's no duty until you're in the care, custody, and control of the police. And by duty, I mean a legally actionable responsibility on their part. If they fail to maintain a certain standard, then you can sue. So if you're trying to use duty as anything other than the ability to sue, in general negligence torts, there has to be a duty, there has to be a breach of the duty, and you have to have damages as a proximate cause of that duty. Various people will break that down further, but that's the general gist of it. So what the court is saying is that there is no legally recognized duty there as far as a tort is concerned. Another pile. I don't know if you can see that. Come on, don't sniff the pile. So I hope that clears it up. The police, it is their job to protect the citizens in general, not a citizen in particular, but it is their job to protect citizens in general, to protect the health and property of the citizens. That's what they're hired for. That's what their job is. If they don't do their job, they get fired. So, yeah. Anyway, I hope that's helpful. Like I said, if you need a more detailed discussion, actually looking at the Supreme Court cases, it's there somewhere on my channel. Good luck. Happy hunting. Have a great Thursday.